So basically, if you want the sequel to your shitty original horror movie to be good, cast this young lady. In my mind, she's 2 for 2. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and is it just me, or do I look sexier? I got a new camera. It's a birthday gift. Thanks, Mom and Dad. But as always, as you folks should know, with new things come new troubles, and my latest trouble is that my beautiful little mic here does not work with this new camera. But do not worry, I have ordered a new mic. You'll probably only get this video with this kind of lesser quality audio. Bear with me for the moment. Welcome to another Super Series Tuesday. For today, we will be finishing up the Conjuring Universe films with Annabelle Creation. Annabelle Creation was released in 2017, was directed by David F. Sandberg, and stars Lulu Wilson, Talitha Bateman, and Anthony LaPaglia. This time around, we meet up with a group of orphan girls who moved to a dollmaker and his wife's home 12 years after their own daughter's passing. And then paranormal stuff, because it's Annabelle Creation. What did you expect? I just want to add that if you did not already see my Annabelle review, go and check that out, because spoiler alert for that review, I did not like that movie at all. At the time of its release, it was my lowest rated review, and yeah, I did not like that movie almost at all, so I did not have high expectations heading into this one, but I was pleasantly surprised, actually. So to start with the positives, guys, the lead girls in this are actually really, really good. Lulu Wilson and Talitha Bateman act their little hearts out in this. They feel like real-life friends to me. When they're frightened, it seems genuine. Their love for each other and their sisters and the connection that they have, it all feels super genuine. And when they seem scared, they seem terrified. Like I said, they are phenomenal in this movie. I was so surprised, because typically good kid actors are few and far between nowadays, and these girls absolutely nailed their roles. They did a fantastic job, enough to land the #1 spot on the positives. Next is just the ending of this movie, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it ties in perfectly with the first Annabelle movie, which also raises a question in my mind, like how are they going to do a third Annabelle movie, because you have this one, which is like the start of it, then it ties in like directly, literally into with like the very beginning of the Annabelle movie, the first one, and then Annabelle ties directly into The Conjuring, and then The Conjuring 1 ends, and so like where do we fit Annabelle 3 into this? Either way, the tie into the first movie was done to perfection, which is something I thought I'd never say about the first movie, because it ties in like literally beautifully. And next is just a little something, it's not a big positive, but it's something that actually made me go, oh, that's really cool. And that was just the tie-in to The Nun, which is coming out in like a couple of weeks now. There was this tie-in, and it was actually really well done.
That was taken in Romania, at a convent of cloister nuns. They have little contact with the outside world, but I became very close to these three. That's Sister Maria, that's Sister Anna, and that's Sister Lucia.
Who's this?
I don't know. I don't think I even met her.
They kind of draw a little bit of notice to it, but it's almost like a blink and you'll miss it moment. But yeah, I thought that was really cool, and they even say like, oh yeah, from like back in Romania, and I'm almost positive that's where The Nun takes place. So all that stuff, it seems like they actually had their shit together for a little bit in this franchise. So, it's not just forced movies and spin-offs and sequels and yada yada yada. They kind of had a head on their shoulders, at least when they were making this movie. Next, we'll get to the technical side of this movie, and again, something that I hadn't seen really since kind of the first Conjuring was the cinematography was very, very nice in this movie, but it's not like the first Conjuring where it kind of seems like one shot. There's not really, I don't think if any really kind of one shot follow-alongs in this movie, but just the first-person view I noticed a lot in this movie. It didn't feel used cheaply. You were seeing this from the eyes of the little girls, and a lot of that stuff, it led to some really, really creepy things and some genuine scares, moments that actually kind of like shocked me, took me aback, like actually scared me. As well as the close-ups on their faces, just kind of you get that movement with them, like once they're ducking to pick something up on the floor, you follow them, you come back up with them. Things like that I thought was very, very well done, so the cinematography in this was really, really on point. And next is the atmosphere of this movie, more importantly the score, because I actually found the score progressed with the movie, and I don't know if it's something that a lot of you have noticed, but when you start off this movie and you're following along these girls, and they have this brand new home, and it feels like a castle. They literally say it's like a castle, it's so big in there. And the score has almost a hint of wonderment. They're exploring this brand new place, and it almost just kind of gives this little twinkle, like a little bit of hope almost. And then it progressively gets darker and darker as the movie goes on. So I thought the atmosphere, so the score paired with the cinematography in this, led to a really solid atmosphere in this movie. Very creepy, very dark. I thought that was something that was very well done. If it drew my attention, then it's something that they obviously did right. And next is something that, again, I didn't really see since the first Conjuring, so I was so happy to see it back. And that's just that this movie gets progressively scarier. Like I said, when they first get to this house, it's just this kind of sense of wonderment, this sense of just surprising and exploring and things like that. But then the movie progressively gets worse. It doesn't just throw you right into the middle like The Conjuring 2 did, or is not scary at all like Annabelle. It just kind of progressively and slowly gets worse and worse, and by worse and worse I mean scarier and scarier, so really better and better. And next, the fact that I honestly found this movie genuinely scary. Like, there were a lot of solid scares. It at times may feel a little jump scare heavy, but with me these jump scares were almost unique enough that it didn't really feel like jump scares. Like, it was a jump scare, sure, but then the scene kept playing out. There would be a jump scare, but then people would get chased, or it would lead to something else in the plot. So the jump scares actually felt kind of useful in this movie. They felt well placed. And something that I noticed with this movie that it does very, very well once again is the fact that it plays on things that scared you as a child. Since you're following little girls for this one rather than Ed and Lorraine Warren or a married couple, things that scared you as a kid. So you think of like the monster in your closet, the monster under your bed, or if you ever slept in a bunk bed, you know, like what's underneath you, and things like putting the blanket over your head keeps you safe, and things like that, right? So I felt they played on that a lot, because it was a lot of things. Like, I was terrified of a lot of stuff when I was a kid, and these were things that I would do, and that's something I feel this movie portrayed so damn accurately that I couldn't not draw notice to it. Like, think back to when you were a kid, or if you're still a kid, just think the things that scare you and what you do to protect yourself from these things that scare you, these fears that you have going on in your mind all the time, even of just of your own home. That's what this movie plays up so well. It plays up so well that they are following these children. So these kids are going to be kids. They're going to be scared of everything, and there's certain things that they're going to do to try to not be scared or try and protect themselves. And next is that there's some very disturbing imagery in this movie. Some very bloody imagery that I did not expect. Some very gruesome things and very disturbing and shocking things. There are two very kind of solid deaths. I'm sad that one of them kind of cut away and the aftermath isn't as bad as I wanted to, but the scene leading up to the cutaway was very, very cringe-inducing, and this time I don't mean in the sense that, like, oh my god, why did they say that? I mean, like, oh wow, okay. Like, scary, gross, disturbing stuff. And then there's another death that again happens off camera, but you see the aftermath to this one, and the aftermath to this one is a lot more gruesome, and it is a very, very shocking moment. And lastly, on the positives list, is the fact that I actually found the demons, or I guess the demons, that's only one, but it takes different forms to try and scare people, because, you know, things that are explained earlier on in the Conjuring universe, you gotta scare people, you gotta break down their will, basically, to keep pushing forward, and that's how possession happens. So the demon, I guess, is just the one, takes these many different forms to attempt to scare these girls, and even the married couple and the nun that goes with the little girls. And a lot of those forms I actually found genuinely shit your pants scary, or just like typical things, like even just taking the form of a doll, a little girl, a scarecrow, things like that that I find genuinely creepy. Now here's something I want to say about this movie that I gotta give it major props for, is that I couldn't think of anything that was wrong with this movie. Like, it's not my favorite horror movie or anything like that. The scares are there, and they're very solid, but they're not as scary as the first Conjuring. Now, I did kind of land on a negative, and it's almost just kind of a throwaway one, but I see a lot of people commenting and putting it in the reviews on IMDb and things like that, and it is true, and that is that this movie is very generic. It's a very generic plot. You know, it's just a creepy doll, the creepy little girl, you know, the house, the new house, things like that. And I understand that, but to me it wasn't really a knock because I had such a fun time watching this, but it is a negative going into this movie. Don't expect something new, something fresh. It is a very generic plot, but I felt it was fresh enough to be a good movie, honestly. So with all that being said, guys, I actually genuinely enjoy Annabelle Creation. This is a multiple times I've seen this now, and because I've actually wanted to watch it, not like the first Annabelle when I had to put myself through it again, I actually genuinely enjoy this movie. So I'm going to be giving Annabelle Creation a 7.5 out of 10. Before I go guys, very quickly, I just wanted to say that there's going to be a slight wait on the ranking video. Typically after I finish the Super Series, I do a ranking video on that series, but it's going to be a little while for the Conjuring one because I kind of wanted the Conjuring movies to lead into the Nun, but there's another series I want to cover too, so I had to push this one back a little bit. But once the Nun releases, you will get a full Conjuring universe, including the Nun ranking video that Sunday after the Nun comes out. And of course guys, be sure to check back next Tuesday for a brand new Super Series. So guys, if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know. Do you think Annabelle Creation surpassed the first Annabelle? Where does it rank for you? Is it scarier than the Conjuring 2? Is it scary as the first one? Where does it fall for you? And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap.